A siren blared overhead, slicing through the heavy dusk that always lingered over New Auxilium. Too much smog for sunlight, too many screens for stars. Down below, beneath towers of flickering neon and the ceaseless chatter of the city, Mira clawed at the oily dirt, fingers trembling. "You sure there's anything down here?" grumbled Jex, her only friend crazy enough to join this dig. His light buzzed atop his helmet, cutting through the gloom, illuminating Mira's face streaked with grime and stubborn resolve. "Sensor pings don't lie," Jex, Mira shot back, voice muffled by her mask. "Something's down here. Something old." Jex kicked at the debris. "Old tech gets you dead these days, Em, just sayin'." Mira answered with silence and a shovel, striking metal. Hollow. She knelt, scraping away Synthiarth until her hands finally found the edge, smooth, cold, impossibly precise. An ancient panel, edged with sigils from before the collapse. Her heart hammered. She thumbed the power cell into place, bypassing the archaic lock. It hissed, released, and the slab rolled back, revealing a chamber of opal-lit circuitry and a centerpiece. A crystalline machine that pulsed with potential. "It's beautiful," Mira whispered. A hiss of exhaust spun them around. Two figures in gray cloaks blocked the exit. Each held pulse rifles leveled, visors flashing amber. "Step away from the Skyforge," the lead commanded. There was no warmth in her voice, only protocol. "That technology is forbidden." Jex froze. Mira straightened, defiance radiating from every muscle. "You can't control this. You don't even understand what it is." The second figure stepped forward. "No one should. The last time it was used, the world nearly ended." A tense moment hung, sparking with danger. Overhead, the city throbbed, oblivious, hungry, alive. Mira realized the truth. She'd found not just old tech, but a choice with the power to crack the city and maybe the world in half. The Skyforge shimmered, waiting. The crystalline hum of the Skyforge set Mira's teeth on edge. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but something fierce, something desperate, rooted her to the spot. Jex glanced from the fraught, gray-clad strangers to the pulsing machine. "Mira, now would be a really good time to let this go." Mira didn't. She kept her body between the Skyforge and the intruders. "Who are you? City Watch, or something worse?" "We're custodians," the lead woman replied, her glare sharp as broken glass. "Our job is to ensure relics like this never see sunlight again." Jex shuffled, sweat beading. "Can't you just shut it down and walk away?" He looked at Mira. "Maybe they're right, Em." Mira shook her head. "You don't get it, Jex. Do you know what this is? If we can control it, fix it, it could change everything. Food scarcity, blackouts, even climate filters. The city wouldn't have to choke anymore." The custodian tightened her grip on the rifle. "Or annihilate us." The old world thought the same, and look what happened. A low tremor rumbled overhead. Distant sirens, then a dull, heavy thud. The sound of the city watch closing a riot gate. Trouble. "People are panicking up there," Mira pressed on, voice trembling. "No one's got enough, and the tech they let us use isn't fixing it. Let us try." The custodian's gaze wavered, just for a heartbeat. "There's another way. Come with us. Don't make this worse." Mira backed up to the Skyforge. "Not until I understand what it can really do. Please." Jex shot a frantic look. In the tense silence, the Skyforge responded. A lens unfolded, casting runes on Mira's arm as the circuitry mapped her biosignature. Lights flickered. The room buzzed alive, desperate, as if the machine sensed her hope and fear. "Move!" The second custodian lunged. Jex threw himself between Mira and the rifle, but the Skyforge pulsed outwards, a wave of invisible force, shoving all of them back against the curved metal walls. When it faded, Mira's hand rested on a crystal grip. She'd made her choice. Above, the muffled crash of boots echoed. More were coming. Shadows pressed in. Mira pulled Jex close, whispering, "Run on my mark, trust me." The Skyforge glowed, answers and doom waiting to be claimed. The chamber shuddered as new threats gathered above. The heavy boots, the metallic clatter, the distant frantic sirens all blended into an ever louder warning. Mira gripped the Skyforge's crystalline handle tight. The light it cast over her hand flickered, as if the machine itself were anxious. Jex tugged at her sleeve. "Now, Mira! They're coming! This thing is a magnet for trouble." "Not yet," she whispered, eyes darting over the Skyforge's controls. Antiquated, but somehow intuitive. If she could just unlock the interface, maybe they could slip away before reinforcements boxed them in. The lead custodian pressed herself up, voice cracking with urgency. "You can't activate it. That power, is exactly what people are dying for. Mira snapped, frustration etched raw across her face. We're all living in a cage down here, breathing poison because someone decided humanity can't handle this sort of change. Maybe I can. A sudden commotion outside the chamber. The riot gate hammered open. Blue-armored City Watch agents stormed through the darkness, flooding the corridor with LED white luminescence. The custodians raised their hands, weapons tossed aside in a flash of surrender, but Mira's choices were running out. I'm not leaving the Forger, Mira said, voice small but hard. A watch officer, the captain by the lights on her epaulets, aimed her weapon at Mira. Step away from the artifact, down on the ground. You want it for yourselves, Mira accused, fury racing in her bloodstream. You'll turn it into another tool for the high sector while the rest of us starve. I won't let that happen. Jex braced himself between her and the officers. She's just a tech. She can help. Nobody helps down here, the captain spat, voice leveled by years spent watching hope die. Nobody but us. As the captain squeezed the trigger, the Skyforge bloomed, light warping, senses blurring. A shield of shimmering energy shot out, catching the pulse round and dissolving it midair. The city's hungry shadows turned a shade lighter as the Forger flexed, protecting the girl who dared to wake it. Gasps rippled through the corridor. For just a moment, everyone stilled, captive to possibility, to fear. Mira looked at her own hands, shocked at what she'd done. We're not here to destroy, she said, voice steadier now. We're here to save. Let us prove it, or the city's lost for good. The standoff teetered on a knife's edge. Mira knew now, this was bigger than defiance. This was the start of a revolution, and all of New Auxilium was watching, waiting to see if one human could truly change the future. Sweat trickled down Mira's neck as she stared at the City Watch captain. The shield still shimmered between them, humming with energy both alien and familiar. Jex eyed the custodians, then the armed officers, afraid to breathe. Above, a tremor rattled the corridor, inhuman, metallic. A watch reinforcements would be here any minute. Drop the shield, barked the captain. Whatever you're doing, you're putting everyone at risk. Mira shook her head. What's riskier, leaving the city to rot or letting someone try to fix it? I'm not the enemy. The custodian leader's voice softened, tinged with pain. The Forger can make more than power grids. Minds have been broken by it. Reality's rewritten. Even I lost someone to it the last time. How will you control what comes next? Mira faltered. Her mom's face flickered in memory. Sick lungs, waiting for a cure that never came. Was she repeating the old world's mistakes, or writing new hope? We can't just let them take her, Jex whispered. You can't use that thing alone, the custodian urged. It needs checks, people who remember what it's cost. Another detonation shook the halls above, a warning or a distraction. Then static flared in Mira's headset. Unauthorized access detected, target on sublevel 47, full lockdown. If you stay, you're trapped, the captain warned, eyes hard. Hand it over and maybe we talk. Mira looked from the captain to Jex, then at the custodians. Their fear, their cynicism, they all made sense. She was just an engineer, a nobody. So why did the Skyforge answer her? I'm leaving, but not to hide. To prove this can save us. Jex, help me. Custodians, if you care about what's right, let us try. If we fail, you can end it yourself. Silence pressed in. The custodian leader's jaw clenched. Then she tossed Mira a slim override chip. That'll get you past the riot gates. Don't make us regret this. Mira nodded, gratitude and resolve glowing in her eyes. Jex gave her a crooked grin and shouldered a battered toolkit. Together they moved, the shield parting the way. The City Watch parted grudgingly, but their anger and skepticism followed Mira's every step. They slipped into the Undercity's labyrinth. One engineer, her loyal friend, a death-marked artifact, and a city holding its breath. Mira could feel the responsibility settle on her shoulders, heavy as the sky above. For the first time, she realized no one would save New Auxilium for her. She would have to become the hope she wished for. As Mira and Jex sank deeper into the Undercity, the world above faded to distant thunder and static. They moved through corridors lined with scavenged tech, past squatters hiding from riot patrols and prying eyes. The Skyforge now sat in Mira's battered backpack, humming softly against her spine. You sure about this, Em? Jex whispered, eyes darting to every shadow. No, she admitted. But for once I feel like I have a choice. A chorus of generators throbbed in the next sector. too uniform for random noise. Mira tensed. She glanced at the custodian's override chip, tracing its etched runes. Watch for tails. We're not safe yet. In a half-flooded machine room, Mira activated her cracked tablet, jury-rigged a power lead from the old substation panel, and set the Skyforge in a circle of light. Runes scrolled across its surface. Her fingertips hovered above the primary interface, scanning. Jex watched, nerves raw. You can really fix the city with this? Mira's jaw was set, but her eyes betrayed the doubt inside. I have to try. The Skyforge can reshape matter at the quantum level. If I can limit the changes, keep it simple, we might restore the lower eco-grids at least. He gave her a sideways smile. You're wild, Mira, but I'd rather bet on you than the watch. She laughed, a brief burst of courage, then began the work. Data flowed through her hands in a dance she'd studied all her life, but never witnessed at this scale. The machine's algorithms tested her sense of purpose, reading her intent as much as her commands. Suddenly a jolt. Alarms screeched. Lights sputtered. Hollow screens flickered with an encrypted message. If you activate the Skyforge, you are enemy of the state. They'd been found. Jex grabbed his toolkit, shoving loose wires and tools into the bag. We have to move. They're tracking us, probably on every cam. Mira hesitated only a second before pulling the Skyforge free and racing into the maze of tunnels. Echoes of boots and hissing drones gave chase. The corridors pulsed with uncertainty, every branching path a possible dead end. But as they ducked into a forgotten service stair, the Skyforge flickered, a projection flashing before Mira's eyes. A roadmap leading deeper, pointing toward the city's long-abandoned core. Solutions and new dangers waited in the darkness ahead. Mira clenched her jaw, shoulders set. She'd come this far, and wasn't turning back. Down, 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 a spiral of metal stairs dropped Mira and Jex towards the city's heart. Dust ghosted every step, undisturbed for decades, but now Mira's path glowed with shifting glyphs, directions from the Skyforge itself. Jex's breath came in gasps. Somewhere above, the drones hunted, closer every minute. A massive door loomed at the bottom. Mira pressed the override chip to its ancient lock, heart pounding. The slab groaned, peeling open to reveal a rotunda veined with copper and cobalt, a forgotten control hub. The walls crawled with dead monitors and traceries of pre-collapsed script. Nobody's been here since before the city really fell, Jex muttered, awe and fear mingling. What is this place? Mira moved to a pedestal in the center, setting down the Skyforge. It pulsed brighter than before, as if it recognized its birthplace. It's the seed core, she said quietly, where new Auxilium began, the real center, hidden from everyone who came after. If we're going to help the city, we start here. She plugged the Skyforge into the core's interface. Power surged, shaking dust from the steel ribs. One screen blinked awake, showing city sectors in blood red, ecosystem collapse, grid failures. Jex watched her fingers fly across the keys. What if they try to stop us? The watch, the custodians, everyone. What then? Mira looked up, boldness blazing in her eyes. Then we show them it's possible. We use the Skyforge to heal one zone, a proof of hope for everyone still watching. As she worked, systems flickered back to life. Section 22, home to tens of thousands in forgotten squalor, turned green as filtration systems roared. Cameras caught families scrambling to their windows, pointing as reviving rain began to fall for the first time in years. The comms burst alive with frantic chatter. Who's doing this? Some miracle engineer just fixed Sector 22. It has to be the artifact. They're gonna save us. Others panicked. The watch is cracking down. They're sealing exits. But Mira wasn't finished. Sweat beaded on her brow as alarm spiked again. The watch had traced the energy surge. Heavy steps echoed at the circular door. Jex tensed, hefting a crowbar. Decide. Do we keep fixing or run? They look ready for war. Mira stared at the screens, hope rising in one corner and a wall of incoming enemies closing fast. She glanced at Jex, then at the humming Skyforge. If she stayed, it meant choosing sides. If she ran, all this would end. But the city's eyes were on her now, and for the first time, hope from below was outpacing fear from above. Mira straightened, voice clear in the heavy silence. We finish what we started, for everyone who never got a choice. The first door slammed open. Mira spun, hands sticky with sweat, as City Watch stormed in, shields up, visors gleaming in the Skyforge light. The custodians flanked them, warier than ever. Jex gripped the crowbar so tightly his knuckles paled. "Step away from the interface," barked the watch captain, weapon leveled. "Deactivate the system now." "Mira, we're boxed in," Jex hissed. Mira took a shuddering breath, locking eyes with the captain across the divide. "Look at your feed, Sector 22. People are breathing clean air for the first time since I was a kid. Why fight that?" "Because it's not just filters," the custodian leader jumped in, voice hot and trembling. "You could collapse reality if you reach too far. You're gambling with all of us." Jex turned to Mira, desperate. "Can you put limits on it? Prove this isn't like before?" The Skyforge answered with a surge of glyphs, streaming across the screens. New subroutines, safeguards organizing themselves around Mira's presence. The artifact trusted her, but also warned her. Purpose, restraint. "I can," Mira said, stepping back from the pedestal, "and I will. But I need a shot to finish what I started. You can post a custodian at my side. Heck, post 10, but let me repair 3 more sectors. We show everyone what's possible, then you decide together what comes next." The captain hesitated, the hands behind her wavering. Chatter from her comms. "The people are marching in the streets, Captain. They're seeing floras bloom, air clearing. They want more of it." Jex gave Mira a hopeful look. "Just 3. That's fair, right?" The silence stretched. Then, with a tense nod, the custodian leader removed her helmet, revealing tired eyes and a scar trailing down her cheek. "I'll stand over your shoulder, engineer. One mistake, one sign you're bending more than fixing, and I pull the plug myself." Mira nodded, heart pounding in gratitude and terror. "Deal." The watch lowered their weapons by degrees. Jex let out a shaky breath, tears of relief glimmering in the corners of his eyes. The city's status screens flashed between red and green as systems caught. Hope and fear dueled in every corner of the map. "You get 3 tries, Mira," the captain warned. "That's it. Fail, and this ends the hard way." "Understood?" Mira replied, wiping her brow and facing the Skyforge, her resolve hardening. "Let's begin." Mira's fingers trembled as she keyed in the first sector. The custodian leader loomed behind her, silent but alert, shadow always touching the Skyforge. Jex monitored the relays. He'd never looked more serious. "Ready when you are," he said, shooting Mira a thumbs up. She nodded, whispering, "Let me get this right." Mira selected Sector 9, the market district, thick with refugees and energy outages. With a gentle pulse, the Skyforge unfurled its power in measured, surgical lines. Lights flared on street by street. Refrigeration units rebooted. Water pumps sang. The displays hesitated, then flipped green. Reports poured in, markets back. Cold storage working, food safe. It's almost peaceful. Real rain, not smog. The custodian squinted at Mira. "That's one. You stayed within the limits." The watch captain mapped the next district. "Try Sector 31. We lose 2 block towers a week to blackouts." Mira's confidence grew. She set the Skyforge for emergency power rerouting, then carefully limited the interface. Luminescent energy rippled through the map, snapping entire neighborhoods online. Screens showed children laughing under unfiltered sunlight streaming through now clear glass panels. 2, the custodian confirmed. She eyed Mira, a new suspicion flickering. Trust or jealousy? All over New Auxilium, ordinary people flooded outside, faces upturned, counting breaths like prayers. Jex squeezed Mira's hand as she selected the 3rd, Sector 44, where his family still lived if they were alive. The Skyforge's hum deepened. This time, the power response was stubborn, requiring delicate negotiation. Mira grew pale, sweat running down her temple. "This is the tricky one," Jex whispered, tension threaded in his voice. A safeguard error flashed. The custodian swore and stepped forward, but Mira pressed her palm flat to the crystal. "Let me," she pleaded, voice clear but shaking. "There are people counting on us." The Skyforge quivered. Then, with a brilliant flash, energy leaped. Repairs cascaded across the sector. For a moment, the screens went black. Everyone held their breath. And then, green, everywhere. "They did it! Sector 44's coming back!" Cheers rang from the city speakers. Jex teared up, breathless. The custodian stared at Mira with disbelief and something like hope. "You did what we never could," she whispered, voice thick. "But the city's watching, and not all eyes are friendly. Powerful people will want the Skyforge for themselves." Outside the core, footsteps pounded, new watch squadrons, city elite, even masked agitators. Mira's success sparked rival factions into open movement. Jex braced himself. "What now, Mira?" Are you ready to fight for the Skyforge, or? Mira looked out over the feeding green lights, the swelling hope, and knew they'd only bought a moment of peace in a storm building all around. Word of the miracle zones tore through New Auxilium like wildfire. Hope and panic became indistinguishable, erupting into clashes in the streets as desperate families rushed sector borders and masked agitators attacked watch barricades. The city core trembled with the weight of what Mira had begun. Inside the rotunda, loyalists, skeptics, and opportunists battered at the steel doors. Mira felt the Skyforge's crystal warm in her grip, like a living heart, almost frightened by its own power. Jex hovered close, glancing toward the control map's growing sea of green, then toward the chaos echoing through the comm channels. Everyone wants a piece of it now, Jex said, his voice low and urgent. Nobles watch, even the undercity gangs, and you're the only one they trust to run it, or to stop it. The custodian leader stood at Mira's elbow, her eyes hard. The city will tear itself apart fighting over this machine. Even good intentions can be twisted. We need an answer now. Do you keep the Skyforge in your hands, or destroy it before anyone else can abuse what you've started? Mira stared at her own reflection in a fractured screen, the face of an undercity engineer, sweat-stained and sleepless, but not the child she'd once been. She looked at Jex, saw him nod, trusting her again. If I erase the forger, we lose the chance to build something better. If I keep it, who do I become? The thump of explosions and feet grew closer. Watch officers prepared to storm the core, and broadcast feeds flickered with furious city leaders demanding control. Even the people outside, newly hopeful, howled and begged for Mira to save more sectors, or to release the Skyforge to the masses. You have to choose, Mira, the custodian pressed. Not just for you, for all of us. What's stronger in you, hope or fear? Jex reached for Mira's shoulder, voice trembling but sure. You made us believe again. Don't let them steal your gift or your soul, Em. Mira closed her eyes as the city screamed around her. The Skyforge pulsed, offering infinite possibility or unthinkable ruin. A memory flashed, her mother coughing in the gloom saying, "Healing is more than fixing. It's teaching others how." With her city and her own heart split open, Mira realized this was never just about fixing machines. It was about giving birth to a kind of hope no one could hoard. She took a deep breath, eyes opening with new clarity. We share it. But on my terms. No rulers, no tyrants, no single hands. We open source the Skyforge. Let the people decide. Let everyone learn. If they see the truth, maybe the city can heal for real. A hush fell. Even the custodian seemed stunned. Jex just grinned, wild and proud. That's my Mira. Outside, the pounding at the doors grew more desperate. Inside, Mira began rewriting the Skyforge's code, broadcasting it beyond the core for anyone to access, knowing her greatest fight was just beginning. The future would not come gently, but it would be theirs to shape together. The code leaked out like sunrise, first as a ripple, then a tidal wave surging through New Auxilium. Mira's hands shook as she finished transmitting the Skyforge's blueprints, fail-safes, and restrictions across every public channel, every underground node, every broken viewer in a tenement window. As the doors to the core buckled and the crowd surged in, no single adversary emerged. There were watch-in riot gear, nobles with broken data slates, engineers, squatters, children carrying scavenged comms, all shouting, desperate, exultant. But the moment they saw Mira standing at the Skyforge's heart, a hush rolled through the chaos. The city's eyes met hers. She turned on the PA, voice trembling but proud. We fixed 3 sectors together. I didn't do it alone. This isn't for anyone to hoard. I've sent the plans to every corner of the city. If you want a healed Auxilium, you'll have to build it with your own hands, your own care. A beat. Someone in the crowd cheered. Then more. Jex clambered onto a console, waving the open file on his old pad. No more secrets. No more suffering so someone else can live easy. The custodian leader stepped forward. Her eyes, for the first time, were wet. You rewrote the old story, Mira. Maybe this time, we'll be more than survivors. Of course, the world didn't shift overnight. Factions still battled for airtime and neighborhoods squabbled over the Skyforge code's meaning. There were breakdowns, setbacks, sabotage, but for every riot, crowds formed to repair broken piping or string up new eco-filters. For every voice calling for war, 10 more demanded unity. Mira spent sleepless weeks guiding open work groups, teaching strangers to trust the process her mother believed in. Jex grew into her right hand, fierce and loyal. Even the custodians joined, training others to spot corruption and overreach in the code and the very rules of power. One stormy morning, Mira stood at the edge of the central skywell, rain at last washing down on clean streets. Children danced in it while watch officers, helmets off, played sentry only to keep the peace, not to oppress. Jex nudged her. Was it worth it? All that running, all that fear? Mira smiled, tired but warm, eyes shining in the new sunlight. We're not done yet. We never will be. But for the first time I believe the city will write its own future. Not just survive, live. Above, clouds parted. New Auxilium, battered but unbroken, reached for the sky, forged not by a single hand, but by all those willing to hope and build together. And beneath her feet the Skyforge, no longer secret, no longer forbidden, gleamed with possibility, waiting for the next desperate, stubborn dreamer.